of everything I was doing while I was there. And you actually have to declare why you're going there. So I went for photography and journalism. It was something like I declared. I didn't really think much of it, but it was actually something I stepped into because I was meeting with Cuban families, having conversations, taking photos, and I met with like two school teachers, and their wages were like crazy low. They showed me around the island, which is actually illegal because, just the government they have over there. So they were taking a risk, just kind of educating me on what was going on. So I was helping them share their story, when I got back home.
As you're supposed to?
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was talking about earlier with if I'm going to go to a place that's foreign to me, I'm going to go in, I'm going to be a student, and I'm going to soak it up. So Cuba was definitely one of my best travel experiences, period. I was actually terrified to go just because of the communism and being in a totally new environment.
Yep.
But like, it was chill, it was smooth. Like, I used Google Translate when I needed to, muy poquito español. And people were just real cool. I quickly learned that local Cubans were very inviting to me because I was interested in how they lived.
As you're supposed
and
to.
And again, that's how I move everywhere.
As you're
like
supposed
locally, to. Yeah, exactly. Locally and internationally. And not everybody does that though, unfortunately.
No.
And people go to a foreign place and they'll act up, like I mentioned with London, USA type of thing. Like I was not about that. Right, like I don't need the attention-seeking behavior. Like I went to Cuba, and I usually have my iPad. I'm usually out on street corners, museums, whatever, creating paintings. And I was like, you know what? This is a communist government. I don't want to get into a situation where I'm out with my iPad and they think I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So what I did was I had my iPhone. I was taking reference pictures. I was having conversations. I had a Polaroid camera.
That's smart.
I was doing all that stuff, the photography and journalism, what I declared. And then when I got back home, I created those paintings because it was safer. So I wanted to create a safe environment for not just me, but for local Cubans as well. And it was just like one of the best experiences of my life. Like, I'm going to say like when this administration ends, because like they're seeing Cubans as enemies right now. And, I want things to get kind of back to normal.
How do they see Cubans as enemies when usually the U.S. goes start problems and then come back like they're trying to save the day? Like, exactly. I'm just saying, I'm taking myself out of the equation.
Yeah, I understand.
Now I'm studying in my spare time, even though studying sometimes could be boring, but I enjoy it because I need to learn this information for myself and my people. Yeah. So when I'm talking to people like you, I have a better understanding of what's going on outside. That's why I asked you about the percentage of people that think that they have control of what's going on when deep down they have control of nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's all in our brain.
Yeah, it is definitely on our brains. And it's like you got to kind of let go of the ego and realize some things are not
in your control. And there's nothing wrong
like
with that.
Going to Cuba, I was like, okay, somebody might stop me if I act a certain way. That didn't happen, but it was just in the kind of back of my mind, like I'm not going to go any place internationally and come with like an American ego because it could end badly for me. Like that is always what I'm thinking of wherever I go. I think this current administration just looks at people that are black or brown or whatever and, either looks down on them or it's like, all right, well, we want to kind of just be protective of what we have going on. And I've always been about expanding my horizons. So I had a conversation with my mom recently, and she was like, try not to really travel internationally during this current administration. Like, I have a Muslim sounding name, or not Muslim sounding, but Muslim name. Yep. So if I leave the country, it might be challenging to come back. So that's always something I'm thinking about. Yeah, I'm a U.S. citizen, but I know the color of my skin. I know my name is in the Quran and all this other stuff.
But the way you conduct yourself, and why wouldn't they not let you? It'd be different if you conduct yourself as like a vulgar or they might, but the way you conduct yourself as an individual from observing you and reading your book.
Absolutely.
how I got to meet you, and I appreciate you coming out, and I'm gonna get you to come back again.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't think they will stop an individual like you because you don't fit the criteria because the way you interact, the way you conduct yourself. There's a person like me that might be on the same type of time you on, but come through a braids and might not dress as proper as I need to because I want to feel comfortable. Yeah. So it's like they might be like, well, that individual is check out, but I can be speaking the same message.
Right, yeah, and I get that, and I can appreciate that, and we have this rapport, and part of it is like, I will say like we're part of the same tribe. Like I'm not dealing with somebody in TSA or wherever, what have you, that might be getting orders from a racist administration. So that's part of it. And like I also look at it from like, so good friend of mine, Jean-Paul Germain, shout out to Jean-Paul Germain. He's a visual artist, former police officer. He has seen me in situations where there's been like police activity in New York City.
Yep.
And people just ignored me because I was wearing a suit and tie. And that's great. And at the same time, that's only going to take me so far. Like at the end of the day, like I'm still a black person.
Thanks.
So somebody might still look at me in that way. Oh, my name is Raheem or whatever. Like they're not going to let you back in the country. So that's still something that's always going to be on my mind.
It makes sense you're supposed to because you have to look at both sides.
Like
so
absolutely. I just have to be cautious. Like I feel the most comfortable in white America wearing a suit and tie because I'm presenting myself a certain way, I'm expressing myself a certain way. This is me at the end of the day, and it's like palatable for them. So like I've never been pulled over, like I've never been in situations where I fear for my life from like white officers or whatever.
And you're a minority in the state, and it's crazy because most
people. It's crazy.
People that's minority get.
It's crazy.
They say that I got arrested, but I wasn't scared. Actually, like when I did get arrested, the cop was so cool. He let me out of all people right in the front seat.
Wow.
And he cuffed me in the back, but I got out though. He cuffed me, but he let me ride in the front seat, and then I ended up, going to court next day, probation for like 5 months, and then they threw it out.
Yeah.
But the more of the story is, I'm saying I can't say my experience with cops is bad because when I got arrested, they let me ride in the front seat. So I'm not proud, but I did get the case thrown out. But I'm not proud to be arrested. But I mean, it depends what your experience when you cross law enforcement.
Yeah.
And it depends the kind of because when I see them, I don't really engage with them, but I don't do nothing to make them be like, well, he's doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not about engagement. Just don't make them say like he's one of those type of individuals that do that. We got 2 more questions on this episode. Then we're gonna wrap it up because I know it's getting late. I know you gotta go, but R.I.P. to Quincy Jones. Do you know who Quincy Jones is?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you feel about his legacy when he left on this earth before he died last year? He died at age 91 last year.
Well, I greatly appreciate Quincy Jones, and a lot of his music, I think, poured in my childhood, especially with everything he contributed to Michael Jackson. I'm still a huge Michael Jackson fan, despite all the controversies and stuff like that. I definitely appreciate him being an architect and him being behind the scenes to help build somebody else up. And sometimes I engage in that myself too. Like I have a mentee, his name is Prince Davenport, and he is a photographer and he does video as well. And I've invited him to some gigs and stuff I've done. So sometimes it's not always necessarily about being on Front Street. It's about being like Quincy Jones or Pharrell Williams and building somebody else up.
Right.
So I can really appreciate that legacy, especially as somebody that when they're working, they're listening to music most of the time. Like I love world music. I love music that crosses generational barriers. Like Michael Jackson's music is gonna just
last forever. Especially when the Halloween song comes in.
Yeah, Thriller.
Thriller.
Yeah, exactly.
Every Halloween they play it. So that means they ain't never gonna go nowhere. So his legacy will last forever.
Yeah.
But how many young individuals you know that's probably close to my age and younger that even know who Quincy Jones is?
Yeah.